Trump senior advisor and former public defender, Kash Patel. Kash, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, y'all. Thank you.
You know, as Peter just said, this case boils down to it's not about having the documents. It's about what happened after the National Archives asked for the documents back, and they didn't get all of them. And next thing you know, there's a search warrant executed. Next thing you know, there's a suggestion that things were moved, that there's collusion, there's obstruction, there's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, to me, look, as a former federal public defender in Miami and a national security prosecutor, it's a little simpler than that. It's what charges have they levied based on what laws? They're opposing the Espionage Act versus the Presidential Records Act. The latter supersedes the former. So it doesn't matter where they were and who moved them and how, if President Trump is the recipient of those as president of the United States when he left the White House. It's a pretty simple matter. What I'd like to talk about is some of the lawyers on Jack Smith's special counsel team. Remember, Jack Smith is the one who spearheaded the Bob McDonald case and got shellacked by the Supreme Court 9-0.
Governor of Virginia.
His deputy special counsel is Karen Gilbert, who's one of the most corrupt prosecutors to ever come out of the Southern District of Miami.
Right. A couple of other things. Jack Smith, we heard all about his investigation. It was very public who he was bringing in. Why did he choose to go so public with what he was doing? Why do we get all these leaks out of his camp?
Well, it's the same playbook that the FBI and DOJ have run, whether it's Russiagate, impeachment 1, impeachment 2, Jan 6, what have you. If it favors a story that helps push their narrative, they leak the information relentlessly, whether it's classified or not. And what they don't leak are their actions of corruption by the prosecutors bringing this case. And let me give you an example. The lead prosecutor, Karen Gilbert, who is likely to be the trial attorney in the Southern District of Florida in 2009, was so reprimanded in a narcotics trafficking case that she had to retire from her position. And years later, she was promoted upwards at the DOJ. And now you find, and don't believe me, go to the Ali Shagan case from 2009 and Judge Gold in the Federal District of the Southern District of Florida and look up Karen Gilbert. She is the Weissman to Jack Smith, and she has been pulling the reins on this investigation. And she was called one of the most corrupt people to, guess what? She wiretapped the defense lawyer's investigative office to eavesdrop on the conversation between the defense attorney and the investigator. And before she got slapped by the courts, she resigned from her position. This person is leading this prosecution.
Have you talked to President Trump? Have you asked him, was this worth it? I mean, why even take these documents? And when you are found to have them in your possession, just give them back. Because these are things like a letter from Obama, a birthday menu, which probably is not part of the classified portion, a cocktail napkin, a letter from Kim Jong-un. You listed a few others earlier in the show. I mean, is it worth it? I don't even know if America, I think Democrats and Republicans would agree that you shouldn't go to jail or be behind bars for more than 100 years because of this. If for the case, I mean, Biden could go to jail, so could President Trump, depending on the different charges. But is it worth it? Why not just give this stuff back?
To me, look, maybe I'm old school. The rule of law is worth it. And President Trump abided by the rule of law, whether he took a cocktail napkin or 4,000 boxes of documents. George Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and President Trump should be treated no differently. The two-tier system of justice is on explosive display here. And it is, of course, worth it if and when I believe Donald Trump will be exonerated to show that he has been a political target rather than a legal target. So whether he took it or not is not the question to me. It's the why they are prosecuting him when they know they don't have a legal justification to do so.
But Kash, let me ask you something about this, the jury makeup of Miami. You know Miami. Does he have a better shot at a fair trial there than he does in New York City and would have in Washington, where he might be facing the January 6th charge?
Well, sure, of course. I mean, Miami's a little better than Washington, D.C. and New York, but I think it's a pretextual forum shopping operation by these U.S. attorneys and the special counsel's office. To me, I think maybe this will backfire depending on the judge that this lands in, because I don't know that this case will ever get to a jury because of the legal questions at play vis-a-vis the Presidential Records Act and Espionage Act. And, oh, by the way, if you want to charge him with obstruction of justice, he has to commit an actual illegality. So these are legal questions that may go to the judge, and I think ultimately the appellate courts before it ever gets to a jury. And I think the DOJ may have bought off more than it can chew by trying to, quote unquote, forum shop this case down to the Southern District of Miami, where it's home court advantage for the deputy special counsel.
Well, Kash, we had Jim Trusty on a couple hours ago, and he was talking about how much time, working on a case like this is. Now with the former president facing these charges, which will be unsealed on Tuesday, potential case down in Georgia, potential case with Jack Smith and January 6th, and all the other stuff. Does the former president, have time to run for president and defend himself at the same time? Because it sounds like a lot of this is going to be happening in the next year.
I think so, and I'll just give you an example as a former chief of staff of DOD for him. I've seen this individual as president operate hostage rescue operations, kill some of the world's biggest terrorists, secure the southern border, order us to deploy DOD assets to take on the narcotics industry, take out the CCP fentanyl flow, all in one fell swoop. That was one day for me in the White House. So, yes, I think President Trump, of all people, can do both this campaign and effectively show the two-tier system of justice is targeting him and anyone who's supporting him next. I think he's the only one that has the bandwidth to do so.
All right. Kash, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, guys. Have a great morning.